You've all sacrificed so much to be here and be a part of this thing we're doing.
Hello, welcome to Cynic Critique, where we get real with cult films. I'm your host, Thomas, and this week my co-host is once again my good friend Matt from Sitting Through the Credits, and we will be further exploring the Alien franchise, looking at the prequels Prometheus and Alien Covenant, and the in-betweenquel Alien Romulus, which will contain spoilers, and we'll also do a quick rundown of the Alien vs Predator movies.
I think they want us to come and find them.
We're all here because of a map you two kids found in a cave.
Not a map. An invitation.
From whom?
Hello, welcome back. I'm with Matt from Sitting Through the Credits.
Hello.
And we're here to discuss further more Alien with Prometheus.
A very alien film.
A very alien film indeed.
I think you best kick off here because I know you've got some opinions of Prometheus that I don't share.
I have got opinions on this. This brings back Ridley Scott as director, and it's written by Damon Lindelof and John Spate. And this one stars Noomi Rapace as Shaw, Logan Marshall Green, he's Charlie Holloway, Michael Fassbender as David, Charlize Theron as Vickers, Idris Elba as Jennick, Sean Harris as Byfield, Rafe Spall as Milburn. The synopsis for IMDb, which is, following clues to the origin of mankind, a team finds a structure on a distant moon, but they soon realise they are not alone. And you want me to start?
I mean, I think the sigh said a lot.
Oh man, this film is just unnecessary.
I'll let you finish before I defend the honour of Prometheus.
Really?
Yes.
It's an alien prequel. A prequel we do not need. To a far superior movie, one of the best sci-fi movies ever made. They deliver this prequel, which offers nothing to the franchise.
Is it a prequel, though? It comes before. Is it a prequel to Alien?
Yeah, they go on the same planet.
No. Prometheus is LV-223. Alien is LV-426.
I've always believed it was the same planet.
Okay.
They look the same. They try and do the same setup. The ship.
Oh, it's very similar in a lot of parts. I'll give you that.
They bring the ship back. They get the ship to LV-4.
No, it's just a different derelict. It's called a juggernaut, I think, from this point.
I mean, they're trying to get that ship from this one to there, though. Right?
We'll never know if that was Ridley's next idea was that, and I hope that was never the plan.
I still dislike this movie. I still believe it offers nothing to the franchise.
Nothing at all.
You get me a good cast in an Alien movie, but then I don't see why we needed any of this information at all.
Yeah.
I don't think it helps build on Alien. I think it just ruins what Alien is. I think Alien is very amazing as a mystery and you don't really know.
Right.
And to be fair, I think James Cameron offers quite a more believable thing of these eggs were planted by a queen. It's what they do. I don't think you need any more information about engineers wanting to make a perfect organism or whatever you want to. I just, no.
Okay. All valid criticism, though.
Yeah. I don't think prequels are necessarily needed. This one, it's really not. Someone could have possibly come along and done a very simple prequel to Alien.
Yeah.
I'd have been happy with it, but disappointed at the same time. As it just be another people just discovering this place and
if it's the same place as well.
Yeah, and getting face hugged and they leave a signal for our crew on the That's all you expect from a prequel. This says, let's have some engineers. They want to make everything and just so convoluted and just, no, I don't want black goo. I've seen Spider-Man. I've got symbiotes. I don't need more black goo in my life, Matt.
Yeah. That goo or slime.
Slime.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, that is all very valid. I can't really disagree with those sentiments. I think the interesting thing for me is that Prometheus is 2012. The year before, we had The Thing prequel.
Yeah.
Which at the time, I remember going in to see that. I had a lot of fun with it. Saw it multiple times in the cinema. As time went by, it made me sad for what could have been compared to what we got. And that obviously is a film that sort of ends as the original starts.
Yeah.
I like that Prometheus doesn't do that. in that it is divorced from the alien. Unfortunately, we get closer, and that's when I think with Covenant, it starts to come undone. With Prometheus, though, for starters, I love the Isle of Skye in Scotland. I've climbed up to the Old Man of Storr, which is where the movie opens, which just makes me
When I last watched it, Brian was like, "Where's this filmed? It looks like Wales." And I said, "I believe it's Scotland." And he says, "Do you think it's Scotland?" And I said, "I'm pretty sure." Then it came up, Scotland. And I was like, "See, they're in Scotland." And Brian was like, "But they may not have filmed in Scotland." And I was like, "I'm pretty certain they filmed in Scotland. I remember when it was filming."
Yeah, I did this in the papers.
Yeah.
I remember. We've completely neglected Iceland, though. Before that, haven't we? I just remembered. And there is, of course, an alternate opening as well, which was only available on the Blu-ray. I only watched it afterwards.
We had the Blu-ray for ages and only just opened it like earlier this week.
I've still only seen extended scenes on YouTube, admittedly.
Yeah.
I'm not,
I don't really go out my way looking for anything to do with this movie.
I like the passion.
2012 this was out, and it's took me 12 years to rewatch.
Really?
Yeah.
Is this the second time?
Yeah.
Wow.
It upset me.
Wow.
More than Alien 3 killing off Hicks.
Which is interesting, because I'm a massive fan of Alien, so I was like, target demographic for who was going to be most offended, probably. But instead, I ended up really liking it.
Yeah. I think you'd got fed up of everything wanting to go back to Ripley and LV-42.
Yeah. One of the things I really love about Prometheus is it opens up the world. I hate that from Aliens, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, it all ties back to LV-426. It's all the same planet. And with this, it's saying that, well, for starters, you've got the interest with the space jockey from the original film, as he was then nicknamed, because we didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
That it looked like it was, is it a giant gun? Is it a cockpit? We don't know. That's like the germ of Prometheus, is we want to explore what this is. Is it worth doing it? You'll disagree. I maybe a little on the fence, mostly positive, I'd say. They show the engineer at the start sacrificing himself with the black goo, which is going to become a major thing. You do know what that's supposed to be, don't you? What the engineer is doing by sacrificing himself.
He's stopping it progressing.
That's him seeding Earth with life.
Oh, right.
That is the origin.
I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't have a clue.
Fair enough.
What was happening in that scene. I just remember seeing he just infected himself.
Yeah.
I thought he was a good engineer saying, I don't want to infect people with this black goo. I thought he was the saviour of mankind, man.
Well, he's the creator of mankind. That's him sacrificing himself. Annoyingly, a lot of this stuff gets explained in the script that they then either didn't film the scenes or they filmed the scenes and then deleted the scenes.
Yeah.
And then, hilariously, in interviews, acted as if it was all very clear.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think any of this movie is very clear. And like I said, I am not going out my way to research this movie. I don't care for it.
That's fine. So that's essentially the engineer creating life on Earth. They sort of do a slight homage to the opening titles to Alien there with the way that Prometheus forms, although it's a bit more modern and I'm not actually keen on it. I don't think it's as aged as well, which is crazy when you talk about a film from 1979.
There's too many letters.
That too?
It's not as cool.
Kirby letters. It doesn't work. That only you. Yeah. The next thing that's quite interesting is how this was in development in 2002 initially. We're going to talk about it later. AVP comes in 2004. It is shocking how close a lot of this movie is to AVP when Ridley Scott threw his proverbial toys out the pram and refused to work on this movie because of AVP. And then he came back later. And he literally has scientists discover, well, alien life essentially, gather a team together. A Wayland is there to talk to the team that has been assembled in a relatively hurried fashion, and then they go out to investigate what does turn out to be essentially a pyramid in Prometheus as well.
So it's just AVP.
Incredibly similar. I mean, Prometheus definitely has a great cast.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that really disappoint me because I just think, what a great cast. And now I'm just sat there like, they don't do anything.
Yeah. And when they do things, they do them very stupidly.
Yeah, and die.
Yeah, what you've kind of got to think about is that the movie is very rapid as well. They literally arrive. They go straight into the structure that they find. There's a row of structures.
I love how you say everything happens so rapidly, but for me, watching it, it felt like it's like and very endless.
Well, they go straight in. The geologist Fifield he's the mapping guy. He has mapping technology.
I think he should be with a name with field in it.
Right, yeah. But not only has he got mapping technology, he's the one that gets them lost.
Yeah.
Not great science. You've got a biologist who finds alien life, probably decides he's going to stick his face right next to it. Oh dear, not great science. There's a lot of that. You've got the guy who's literally, his life ambition is to go out there and find the creators. He literally goes out there, finds the creators, and then gets incredibly depressed.
Yeah.
Which leads to his death.
That's Holloway.
It's bad science.
Oh, Holloway.
Yeah. Shaw is, well, obviously she's the protagonist. We're back for a lead female protagonist, so that's carrying on that DNA from Alien. It's run all the way through the franchise. I think she's great. I genuinely think she's one of the best things in the movie.
I didn't have a problem with
You didn't have a problem with her.
I didn't have a problem with any of the cast.
Yeah?
I just have a problem with the script.
Right, okay. They do a lot of stupid things. I like the idea of these urns with the black goo because the way it's all...
I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
this is the opposite
Yeah.
of Alien Resurrection.
Okay.
Alien Resurrection has people, they go off and do something stupid and get killed for it as well. But they're not scientists. This, they go off and, in fact, no, it's the same. It's the damn same. They go off and do something for no reason whatsoever and get killed.
But they're supposed to be more intelligent, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the fact that you've got all the urns laid out, so just to look at it, it's just like, well, they're going to become eggs. So in my mind, and
I like how that's the reverse. An urn is at the end of life.
in O'Bannon's original scripts, they actually found a cracked urn. So there is, you know, it does slightly tie back to those sort of the origins of the first film. The giant engineer head, I just think is great. Where it all starts to... I like it. I can't... You know, there are a lot of stupid decisions. I mean, Michael Fassbender, it's going to go places, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah, it goes places. Right.
Yeah, I think it's a hell of a performance he gives as this unhinged android. It's David, so we've got the progression from Cole to David, even though technically this is back in the past.
Yeah, this guy should begin with a Z, right?
I get off of this one. But whilst everyone has been in... is it cryo? It is cryosleep, not hypersleep, isn't it? It's cryosleep for Prometheus stuff. So they've all been asleep in suspended animation.
Yeah.
And he's just been sat on the ship on his own, going crazy. There's no wonder he's going slightly unhinged. And Shaw repeats that with the next just makes him go crazy again. He styles himself after Lawrence of Arabia. I love the line with the trick William Potter is not minding that it hurts. I just think, oh, that's just great. And then there's Charlize Theron, and it's not explored enough for my liking, who, you don't know it yet, but she is the daughter of Peter Wayland.
Yeah.
Who is an aged up Guy Pearce, which seems like a strange thing because the only reason, well, I suppose he is a man at the end of his life, so it makes sense. They did a short film, which was him giving a TED talk, which is a really great little short film.
Yeah.
And Ridley gets a bit obsessed by those going forward. He does it with Blade Runner as well. And there's a short film introducing David as well. And I like the idea of this man that has gone his entire life. Is he actually that committed to science? It's probably more a power thing. It's, you know, the white exec, incredibly rich man. It's Elon Musk, you know. When Elon Musk reaches the end of his life, he's probably going to go off on a Prometheus mission.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
He owns a ship, right?
Oh, he's SpaceX. Night comes up and killed him for dinner.
See?
Yeah. I love the design of the spacesuits, which are very 1950s. It looks a lot like Planet of the Vampires, which I love. The Prometheus, it's got similar in shape to Nostromo, which I like. What I don't like is that it's incredibly advanced, whereas in Alien you had that retrofuturism where it's CRT monitors.
Yeah.
This thing's, you know, it's Apple Store. You know, it's very 21st century.
Well, you put it, space truckers.
Very true.
These are, I don't know.
You're defending Prometheus.
These are high-end, like, guys on planes, all right?
I'm just going to defend Prometheus. That's a victory for me.
It's not defending, man.
But I love the fact that Peter Wayland, this rich man who's just frozen himself in the last moments of his life, is just clinging so desperately to this idea that's so, you know, all it is Shaw and Holloway. They found these paintings, pieces of art, and all these archaeological digs they're doing that all have this same constellation, which has led them out. It's such like an infinitesimally small chance that this is going to be anything, but he's just clinging to these last moments of life, hoping that he can prolong his life somehow. I just think it's a fascinating idea. And then it gets even more fascinating because he gives that speech where it's just like, somewhere amongst you today is the closest thing to a son I will ever have, David the android.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Charlize Theron is his daughter. Vickers is his daughter the whole time. And I just think it's the sheer sexism and that she's literally in charge of the company. She owns Wayland Corporation, and
right,
she's in charge.
Yeah.
Does the board respect her? We don't know. I'd love to explore that. I think that'd be fascinating. But then she decides to go out with her father. Is it out of love? You know, I just think there's so much there that is just untapped potential that I really like.
It would have probably been better spending more time with this crew.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine if we had a similar thing to Aliens where we knew everybody.
Like, if we were planned a trilogy out of this, there was apparently a plan.
Oh, I don't think that was a plan.
I think it got thrown out the window after this one.
Yeah.
This one wasn't received too well by fans and whatnot either.
Yeah, it was a bit mixed, I saw.
A lot of moviegoers were like, what a long, boring film.
Yeah, I remember going to a 25th anniversary of Aliens event and they had a big panel on Prometheus where it was just discussing what it was going to be about and everyone they weren't happy.
No.
And that was before the film was released.
I think a lot of people just wanted a cool alien film.
Which is not what this is
No.
at all. The practical stuff I love. The visual effects. This is the first digital Alien movie as well. First time they've done that. And before this, it's all on film, which probably doesn't help with the way the ship is. It looks newer because it's, because of the digital film process, I assume. But, you've got this journey. Paul Shaw absolutely goes through it. She loses the love of her life and then gets impregnated because David has poisoned the love of her life with this black ooze. And then you get that absolutely horrific C-section scene, manual C-section scene, because the medical device is calibrated for men only, because Wayland is that egocentric that he's just brought this medical pod on board just for himself.
What a guy.
What a monster. And then to get his absolute comeuppance at the end when they finally find the engineers. Now, it's the engineers is where it all starts to unravel for me more than anything. Because with Alien, this is a fossilized creature. When they find the space jockey, it's exploded from inside. It's been chest bursted.
Yeah.
So a facehugger got to it, or something similar to a facehugger mission. And here we've got engineers in the present day, essentially. There's not enough time for it to fossilize between this and Alien. So I was getting worried that when the Juggernaut, the Alien's ship, takes off, that was going to be the original ship. And it's not. And I'm very glad about that because, I wouldn't have been happy. But then the conversation that Wayland has with the engineer, there was a whole script written to it. And admittedly, there were several versions of the script. It got rewritten a lot by Damon Lindelof. Was it Michael Spates did the first draft, I believe?
John Spates.
John Spates, thank you. And Lindelof definitely visited that afterwards, I think. Originally, there were a lot more ties to Alien that then got lost as it went along. So, one of the cocoons for the engineers actually had a chest-bursted engineer. So the conversation which Wayland has with the engineer, it was supposed to be translated. I believe there was supposed to be subtitles on screen to say this is what they're talking about. Did that bother you, the fact that David could just speak the language? He had been deconstructing it, so...
I don't know.
No?
By this point,
You were checked out. The idea was, whether it translated or not, just wasn't explained well in the film, let's be honest. The engineers, sacrifice is a big part of what they do. That's why the engineer was sacrificing himself at the start. The sacrifice leads to new life. So the idea of this incredibly old man who says, I'm just like you because I created life too, is there saying, I want more life. It's very Blade Runner as well, like Roy Batty with Tyrell. But so having this old man saying, I'm just like you, let me live forever, is just like a cardinal sin. And that's why he goes crazy and starts killing them. But the way they cut it in the film, it just seems a lot more aggressive and unmotivated. It's just instant violence. There was also a version of the script where the engineer was already infected. So he was just like, I was in suspended animation waiting for my people to come and save me. You've woken me up. I'm going to die now.
Yeah.
And that's why he was angry. So the problem is we don't know what version is the film version because that's been lost. Thank you very much, Ridley. Also, the idea was that Jesus was part of this film. And that was why the engineers hated us. Because either they took a human to teach him the engineer's ways and send him back as an emissary, or Jesus was an engineer, once again, lost in all the drafts. So the fact that he was then crucified was another sin of that it's war now. That's why we're going to develop this bioweapon, which is what the Black Ooze is, to destroy Earth. And that's why the ship is supposed to be on its way back to Earth. But the bioweapon got out, killed the engineers before it had the chance. Right. So that's why the engineer at the end he's going back to Earth to finish the job, to kill us all off. So it's messy because the film doesn't bother to explain it. I also kind of like that it doesn't bother to explain that it's all up to interpretation.
I think it's one big convoluted plot.
It is very convoluted.
For no reason whatsoever.
Big, grandiose ideas that it's just like, we've come from space truckers, find Parasite, crew dies, end of movie. To suddenly, we're talking about engineers have brought Jesus back, Jesus got crucified, and now they're at war with humanity. It's a big step for a prequel, which isn't really a prequel.
No.
Not a direct prequel.
Such a bizarre film.
It's a strange film. I have a lot of fun with it. And, a lot of that is down to Noomi Rapace, who I think is a fantastic actress. And, even down to the fact that she wears the cross. Like, she's literally found proof that God does not exist. But in her mind, who created them? So she's having this whole, it's a religious experience for her, and the final scene, when he does probably get as close to Alien with what is now known as the Deacon, so the creature that impregnated Shaw, that then grows into the trilobite, that then it's essentially a giant facehugger. So eventually it kind of makes sense because, this black goo is like an unrefined version of what the egg will become. So it's a giant facehugger. It gets the engineer, and we get what is xenomorphish. It looks like an alien, and that's the image we're in the film on. So it's kind of like, hey, look, this is similar to what you remember.
Yeah.
Did that upset you?
I was already upset.
Okay.
Matt.
You were just, at what point did you sort of went, this is irredeemable now?
I honestly don't know. I just remember being sat there watching the film and just thinking, this just isn't Alien at all. And I think that's the problem. It's so detached from Alien. What's the point in it at all?
So you've got Mark Streitenfeld doing the music for this. A different composer for every Alien movie.
Yeah.
If you include AVP as well, it's quite surprising. But Mark Streitenfeld does music that it's more grandiose. The theme called Life, I like it quite a bit. It's not Alien.
No.
It's more grandiose than that. There is a music cue that comes in when Shaw enters the life pod towards the end of the movie. Is it An Old Friend, I think it's called? Something to do with him. Yeah, I think it's An Old Friend. And that is the start of the Alien theme. That's sweet. But yeah, very detached from what we had before.
Is this the one where he had it recorded backwards? The music was done backwards or something. Something weird like that. And he
Definitely happened with Tenet. I'm not so sure about this.
to give it a more eerie feel. Or something. That's what I read somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm sure that must be there. And I just thought, what a weird thing to do.
Yeah.
It weren't very noticeable. It didn't really do anything.
I have fun with this film. Is it Alien? No. It's not even in the conversation. But I think I prefer this to Resurrection.
I don't.
Fine. That is perfectly fine. I think we're going to find some common ground on the next film.
You want me to move along to Alien Covenant?
I don't want to depress you anymore with Prometheus.
You want to depress me more with the next one?
We can be equally depressed with the next one, okay?
You hear that?
What?
Nothing. No birds. No animals. Nothing.
Alien Covenant, still directed by Ridley Scott. Written by Jack Paglen. Jack Paglen does Transcendence, which was actually a pretty good film.
Oh, right.
And then you've got Michael Green, who wrote Blade Runner 2049, Logan, and Green Lantern. So he's already been on this podcast with Logan.
Right.
Then you've got Screenplay, which was John Logan. This is the guy you'll probably be familiar with because he did Skyfall and Spectre.
Gotcha.
And he did Gladiator. And he did the amazing TV series Penny Dreadful.
Oh, great. I mean, that's a resume and a half.
Yeah. So I have no idea
Went
what's
wrong.
happening with Covenant. Too many writers, I think, by the looks of it.
It's just a film with an identity crisis.
And then you got Ridley Scott just doing whatever Ridley Scott does, isn't you? Right, then the cast have a Michael Fassbender's back as David, but he also plays Walter, Catherine Waterston as Daniel, Billy Crudup as Orm, Danny McBride as Tennessee, and then there's just like a load of other people in it who you just don't really remember being in it.
Sadly, yeah.
I'll go through the synopsis. The crew of a colony ship bound for a remote planet discover an uncharted paradise with a threat beyond their imagination and must attempt a harrowing escape. I needed a harrowing escape after this.
Do you think this is worse than Prometheus? Give me that at least.
I think they're about the same after a rewatch, yeah. I think this one kind of fails as a sequel to Prometheus,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's not a great alien movie.
I think it forgets it's an alien movie until the last 20 minutes and then it goes all out. And by then it's far too late.
Yeah, I really like Billy Crudup in this. I think he's the highlight of the movie.
You like Billy Crudup and everything. Because he's an idiot. This is character Oren.
I actually thought he was a good character up until his death.
Yeah.
And then he had the worst death in this whole movie for me because he had such a great bit. I think he's a very interesting character in comparison to like everyone else.
Yeah.
And then he kills an alien.
Yeah.
And then he's confronted by David, who's absolutely distraught by the death of this alien. And then David says, hey, come see this egg with me. And Billy Crudup just goes there.
Yeah.
I don't know why. He doesn't trust this android or anything. and then dies.
But David said it was perfectly safe.
Yeah, David. This deranged android who they all know he's deranged, except Walter, who they played the flute together.
I mean, we'll get to that.
I don't want to.
We'll get to that.
Not with you.
I'll do the fingering. I mean, right, if I can be positive, because I'm really not going to be by the time I finish with this. If it wasn't for a film we're going to discuss later, it's definitely bottom of the barrel. And that just makes me incredibly sad. As a fan of Ridley Scott, I think he's done so many incredible movies. Like, we're talking Alien, we're talking Blade Runner. I love Black Hawk Down.
I like Black Rain.
I'm
Matchstick Man's great.
Yeah.
It's got Sam Rockwell and Nicolas Cage.
Okay.
Can't go wrong with that, can you?
No, that sounds great. I mean, as a visual director, Ridley's famous for his Ridley Grams, where he just want them to come down. He was an artist. He almost designed the Daleks for Doctor Who back in the 60s.
Wonder what they'd have been like.
Not as good as Ray Cusick, but that's my opinion.
I'm sure.
Yes.
They could have been better.
No. design classic. Anyway, but don't get me off the Doctor Who, for God's sake. But Ridley, great artist. The Ridleygrams, where he basically storyboard entire movies. He understands the sort of the visual language of film, and he can make these incredible vistas. He makes films look fantastic. And this movie is proof that it doesn't matter how fantastic a film looks, it needs plot, it needs characters, it needs a coherent story. And it's like, it is a film with an absolute identity crisis. It does not know what it wants to be. The thing that makes it worse is that when it was marketed, it was heavily marketed as an Alien movie. It's barely an Alien movie. This is a Prometheus sequel, more than an Alien movie, I would argue.
It's definitely a Prometheus sequel.
But more than, wouldn't you say?
Yeah,
Proportionally.
you need this to get to what everyone wants as the Alien movie, which was the problem with Prometheus. Everyone was in for it being a prequel,
Yeah.
when in actual fact it's not a prequel, it's a story in its own right, as this was, how do we get Prometheus to Alien ASAP?
Yeah.
And then you end up with I don't really know what this film is,
No.
but the cast are good, to be fair.
There's a lot of forgettable people in there.
Oh yeah, well, Billy Crudup's great.
Billy Crudup is great. Catherine Waterston is...
She's not great
I've seen her
in other things.
good in other
Better.
things. Here, it's a very sketched-in Ripley stand-in, I feel. And that makes me sad to say.
I don't feel like she had any personality.
There's the cabin in the lake thing. Or cabin by the lake, forgive me. Which it only comes up twice.
Yeah.
And literally the second time is a way to end the movie on a dark note. But
Yeah.
anyway, I'll get to that. First off, it's all shot in New Zealand and some in Australia as well, which I completely overlooked that. In my head, I thought this was another Pinewood project.
Right.
But no, it's Disney Studios in Sydney, Australia,
Oh.
which was a surprise. So I don't know, how do you start this off with this one? Honestly, which I say because Ridley, having done that TED Talk with Peter Wayland and having done the intro to David for Prometheus,
Yeah.
goes mental for short films
Yeah.
before that are not just integral to the movie, that help flesh out the movie. And there's bits of these short films that just should have been in the film. The most critical one's The Crossing, which is essentially the sequel to Prometheus, because it's Shaw on the ship repairing David. Parts of this are used in the film.
Yeah.
Not enough. But, you at least get that explanation of why, well, he does say that Shaw repaired him. But there was scripted for an actual relationship to have started between David and Shaw. That didn't even make it into the short film, which is probably a good thing. But ultimately, Shaw puts in whatever the engineer's version of cryogenic suspension is. And David is left to go bad on the ship again. The android we should not be trusting.
Yeah, right.
Is like learning the engineer's ways. And then we see what happens to the engineer homeworld. So basically, you've got the Covenant spaceship is on its way to Origai 6. It's off to, it's a colony ship where the interesting thing is they're all couples. They're all married couples. They're not necessarily heterosexual, homosexual couples as well. Then you've got that whole mix to start an entire community. And there's a bit of a religious element with Aurum. So there's interest there as it's going off to colonize this world.
Yeah.
Tragic accident. James Franco is barbecued, which is a waste.
Yeah, James Franco's in this. Yeah. You were the short film, I know.
One of the short films is in the last one.
Right.
Yeah, where he's not feeling very well and he's burning up.
Right.
Yes, he's got a fever.
Right.
And then probably gets barbecued when
Right.
the neutrino burst hits the
I
ship.
don't really know why he's in this, other than I think he's a friend of Danny McBride.
Must be the only
Because
reason.
I know they're in Pineapple Express together, and I think they're in another film together as well.
Yeah.
And that is the only reason I can see James Franco getting near this film.
Yeah, it's just unusual. He's a significant actor.
Yeah. I remember I was kind of looking forward to this film because he was in it, and then he wasn't in it.
That one strange video with him rock climbing as
Yeah.
someone almost falls off.
Yeah.
Could list him as a death.
Yeah.
To make it a bit more interesting.
I don't really have much love for this movie either, and I think, to be fair, it's Prometheus' fault that this movie exists.
Well, yeah, back to the ship design disparity. I did have an issue with this because this ship looks just as brand new as the Prometheus. And I was thinking, this is the time when we should be making things looking a bit more like Alien.
Yeah.
Watching the short films, the Tennessee one, he basically says that, this ship is state of the art. This is the most expensive ship ever built. So maybe it slightly gets a pass.
Right.
Which then begs the question, do Wayne Giussani know what they're sending these people in for? I don't know.
These people weren't supposed to get to that planet, though, were they?
No, it is a freak event, isn't it?
Again, it's similar to Alien, where like, what's this planet? Because
Yeah.
Aurum doesn't he say, I made a mistake. This isn't where we could have built a colony.
So they're going to Origai 6, but what the planet that they find John Denver being played,
Yeah.
which it turns out it's actually Shaw sending a
Yeah.
recorded message.
Yeah.
But this planet is perfectly habitable
Yeah.
by humans because
Yeah,
they don't know what lies
Yeah,
down
yeah.
below. And then they decide to go with absolutely no facial protection at all.
Yeah.
Just these, which is pretty stupid, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But it transpires that not only is this planet nearer than a habitable one,
Yeah.
it is the homeworld of the engineers. It is paradise.
Yeah.
Which begs the question, why was it hidden? Why wasn't it found if it was closer? And there's these questions, and you sort of eventually go, yeah, all right, I'll accept that. They land on the planet, alien shenanigans happen. But at least we get interesting things. So you've got these spores which release the pathogen, which goes in one of the guy's ears.
Yeah.
Oh, I forget the one that gets... it's a similar situation, isn't it? Where so you've got two people get infected.
Yeah. One inhales it, I think.
Inhales it, yeah, of course. And that introduces us to the neomorph, which is albino white creature.
And then you get the getting taken down in a cornfield scene.
Oh, absolutely.
Which was
Lost World, Jurassic Park.
Yeah, but it was also supposed to be in Alien 3.
It was Alien 3, yes. Yeah.
Like a bizarre Alien 3 reference. Like, I only realise that now myself.
I can't remember. Did you come with me to see the teaser? There was like an event where they had Prometheus, Alien,
Nah, I didn't.
and then a teaser for Alien Covenant, and it was the entire backburster sequence, which I watched that and thought, this is great.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I don't think the CGI is aged very well.
No.
Also, it's quite sad because I've got the companion at home, and it's all rod puppets, and it looks great, practical. They just slapped CGI over the top of it, and it doesn't look half as good, sadly.
No.
And the full-size neomorphs in particular, they were men in suits, partially. The suit work looked great. I think the CGI work, not so good.
No.
Odd Studios doing it. They're doing a good job, I think, of the practical stuff from what I've seen. You get David comes back with long hair now.
Yeah, I don't understand why his hair's
growing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was an android. I thought it would be just so I'm a bit confused by that. They cuts his hair and flirts with his twin Walter.
Yeah. We get all the stuff with the flute. I mean, Walter, they look the same, but he's not as, David has no restrictions on him. He's essentially alive.
Yeah.
But he's absolutely not perfect. He's homicidal, but he's also breaking down. He says the famous poem about Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, you mighty in despair. He thinks it's Byron, but it's Shelley, which Walter points out to him.
Yeah.
Well, he's lying to them, isn't he? He says that Shaw died in a crash. Not true. They find her corpse later on, which is quite nice because the one thing I will commend the film for is its production design for David's lab, because the artwork, it's straight out of Giga. It's really, it's lovely, frankly, in an absolutely horrific, twisted way.
It looks like your room at home.
But you've got all these incredible pieces of art, and they did a short film which focused on David's lab, which ended up with an absolute idiot who then later came on and he ends up getting face of it. But just seeing all of the different pieces of artwork and the props, that all looks incredible.
Yeah.
And then the crew are whittled off, and Orem decides to wander with David to see the eggs, like you said. And then we get that chest burster. Rubbish.
Yeah. It's so
delicate.
Yeah.
Spindly.
Yeah.
It's a miniature xenomorph. It's not a chest burst.
No.
So
it's so weird to look at, and I think that's kind of the idea of it.
Yeah.
To say that it's unfinished. But at the same time, you're kind of looking at it and thinking, yeah, the effects are unfinished.
Which they did use a rod puppet, but once again it's CG over the top of it. And the CG does not look good.
No.
I just don't think the design works.
No.
When it grows into a xenomorph, it's too brightly lit, I think. Especially the scene when they're escaping on the lander.
Yeah.
Of the crane, the mobile crane gantry.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of that scene at all.
No.
Suddenly it just becomes a strange action film. I think it's supposed to be like the power loader thing from Aliens. I think it's supposed to be kind of reminiscent of that, but it don't play out the same at all.
Yeah. The guns are weird as well. It's like they are just modern day firearms that are just slightly mocked up.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It's pretty cool.
I know, but it feels contemporary.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though I forget what year it's set in. We're in the 2100s at this point.
2104.
Yeah. That's the other thing. This is the first film which really messes up the life cycle for me. When suddenly we're going from this alien is gestating for like a day.
Yeah.
A significant amount of time. And that's what I like about the idea of the creature is that it's a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
It's the Alfred Hitchcock thing where, you stick a bomb under the table, it could go off at any time.
Yeah.
That's how you generate tension. You know this thing's going to come out at one point. Meanwhile, Orem wakes up having been facehuggered, instant chest burst.
Yeah.
And the same happens again with Lope on the ship.
Yeah.
And that's a problem that's now going to dog the franchise, I think. That definitely has in the latest one. Bothered me a bit. The facehugger and the chest burster, they were the moments, They were the moments that when Gila and Hill were going through the script originally, I think Hill had it first, famously handed through a window just by some passing guy who he knew. And he read through it and went, read this script to Gila. It's rubbish. Disagree with that for starters. But it's got one scene in it. So Gila reads through and says, oh, face of that's interesting. So keep going. And it's the chest burster, which is what got him excited. Oh, I've got to make this movie.
Yeah.
And just to marginalise that, it's just sad. And then you get to the end of the movie where suddenly we're just like, oh, we're just going to do Alien in a few minutes. Rapidly rush through it. And you've got Walter who was, inverted commas, who has got back to the ship having fought David. They know where the alien is the entire time. You get that generic slasher moment in the showers where two people are killed.
Yeah, that felt very teen horror.
Yeah, almost sort of voyeuristic. Bit seedy, really.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah, just out of a different film. And then they're just tracking on the cameras.
Yeah.
There's no real tension.
No.
And they did a short film called She Won't Go Quietly, which was literally Catherine Waterston in Tennessee, some of the other crew maybe, just hanging around on the ship playing cards, just constantly talking to Mother. It had some rock music in the background. I think the song was She Won't Go Quietly. I think
probably.
Then the alien was on board. And there was a scene in that she walks into the cryo base with a machine gun. And it's just like, Mother, where is this goddamn thing? And Mother just goes, 4 meters above you. And that is what I need.
Yeah.
Is like, you don't know where this thing is. It can pop out anywhere. But instead, they know exactly where it is.
Yeah.
There's some interesting stuff. You see the alien's point of view, which arguably you saw in Alien 3 with the fisheye lens.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I think when it comes through the door for the first time, it's got this really weird upright posture. They've like CG'd its torso inwards. When you look at it, it's just like, well, it can't be a man in a suit because people aren't shaped like that. And it just looks interesting. It's just a film with such a crisis. It doesn't know what it wants to be. And then there's all the weird advertising. So there's a lunar rover from Audi that drives onto the planet when they first arrive.
Wow.
And that's a real lunar rover that was supposed to be sent up in 2017 to the moon by Elon Musk's SpaceX.
Right.
Mission never went ahead, so presumably it's just sat on a shelf in Audi somewhere. So it's in the movie for barely any time at all. And then this little short film, which is quite cool, where the rover sparks into life because it detects a life form, drives off through the cargo hold, then it's just a man. It's, let's get you back inside. And then it cuts and there's an alien in the cargo hold. Can't be in the movie because by that point in the film, that character, I'm not actually sure if he's in the movie. If he is, he's most certainly dead by that point. But then there's a Walter production video, which turns out is just an incredibly elaborate advert for AMD.
Right.
Because he sees the processor being stuck in, which is hilarious. There's JCB do all of the futuristic machines in the back of the Covenant that are going to be building the log cabins.
Right.
It's all sorts of just strange promotional stuff. And I think even Rick and Morty did a special short tying into Covenant where I think Rick ended up getting facehugged, but because he drinks so much alcohol and drugs, the alien just dies immediately. And so that's an important note for all those characters in the alien movies. They just need to keep drinking and having drugs and they'll be perfectly safe.
Right.
Ah, what a film. It's worse than Prometheus.
Yeah.
Yes, you must agree with that, surely.
Same film. Is Walter named after Walter Hill?
Oh, God, I bet he is. That sounds like the sort of thing they would have done.
Yeah.
There's no real reason for it, is there?
Not that I know. It's the only thing I can think of.
I mean, that's quite sad if it's true.
Yeah.
David and Walter. It is. David Garner and Walter. Oh, I've not picked up on that.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Wow. Thanks, Phil. You just got worse. Oh, when they find Shaw's body, then I mentioned that, also, what a horrible way to kill off a fantastic character from Prometheus.
Yeah.
You know, she's the highlight of Prometheus, Numi Rapace.
Yeah.
We're really in agreement on that.
Rafe Spall.
He's an idiot.
He's a great actor, though.
We're going to talk about Fifield. Anyway, I'm not going back to Prometheus. You'll be upset. You know, you've got Shaw. She's a great character. And they have her in the short film.
Yeah.
And then all she gets is she's a CG representation when they switch on the ship.
Yeah.
Because she's the one that's doing John Denver.
Yeah.
That sounded interesting. Musically. Like the flute. Oh, no. Did Ridley just have an obsession with Michael Fassbender? Just like, I just really want to see Michael Fassbender flirting with himself. Karate chopping himself.
I love that fight scene, by the way, because they know each other's weaknesses, surely. They're both androids. And they just fight like regular guys.
Yeah, but isn't it like wire work as well? So
They had a strange like drop kick thing in there. I remember thinking, what's with the wire foo?
Yeah, it's like this is out of a completely different movie. But anyway, sorry, Shaw's fate, after everything she went through in Prometheus, after that awful C-section scene, which is probably the highlight of the film, let's be honest.
It was a good bit.
Yeah, it's the most horrific one.
I think that was the bit that reminded me most of like the Alien franchise.
Yeah, strong woman literally ripping this thing out of herself and like stapling her body. It's like, wow, okay. People were sort of squirming in their seats in the cinema. I remember when that bit was up. But after all of that, and then to kill her off screen, and then the only redeeming thing about that is that it's sort of implied that he's trying to, it's implied from the short films as well, so they don't even bother to explain it in the movie, that David is trying to create a queen.
Yeah.
And she's like the first attempt at that. And then obviously the horrific implication is he's using her womb and all of that. And it's just, okay, right. But you've got the design that look like mutations like coming out of her head. That's actually based on a famous painting, well, a series of paintings by H.R. Giger, which is called Lilith, which was named after his deceased partner. So that's quite sweet, as it can be. I don't know. I'm stretching trying to find things to like about this one. I actually enjoyed it more on a rewatch after watching Romulus.
Yeah.
I did, because it's near the bottom of the rankings for me.
Yeah.
It's still a good looking film. Bad CG though, on the aliens.
There's not much to like in these.
Okay, I'm definitely more forgiving of the two than you are. And I don't like Covenant at all.
No, I just don't see anything necessary in them. If Prometheus was just a film of its own,
Yeah.
I'd probably be a little more okay with it. But even then, I don't really feel it's a great film. Covenant, what a great film though.
I mean, the ending's nice and dark. That after everything, and frankly, you're in a situation where there are two androids that look the same. Maybe check that it's the right android before going to sleep.
I feel like she kind of had the idea to do it last minute.
Yeah, it's a horrific ending. I mean, just knowing what you're like when you get out of cryo sleep from the other movies. I think whatever they did, if they were to follow that up, and going by Prometheus, they wouldn't even bother doing that.
No.
It's more horrific in your mind than anything they could put up on screen. I mean, even the fact that regurgitating the facehugger embryos to put in which is an interesting idea. And then he's obviously got all those colonists are now his genetic playthings.
Yeah.
So just as like a sort of thought experiment, what the hell were they going to do with the third one?
Not a clue. I honestly have no idea because I feel that is actually straying completely into its own.
I hope they weren't saying that David is the father of all the xenomorphs.
Yeah. The next one probably would have just been him going placing all them eggs. I've
just got this image in my head of whatever we had planned. The ending of the third one would be David flying the ship in the engineer uniform, having somehow become more than an android, closer to human, crash landing the ship with all the eggs on board, and him getting chest bursted, and that's how it would end. I just have a feeling that's the sort of thing he'd have done. I don't think it would have been awful. Because I don't think I love Ridley's work. I think he lost the plot.
I don't think he ever really understood Alien. After he did his director's cut of Alien, that was it.
Which showed he didn't get it, really.
Like I said, I think that was made for people that knew Alien and just wanted to get through it quicker for whatever reason.
By 7 minutes.
It's like you don't want any tension.
So we've left the franchise at... Are you going to argue its lowest point, or do you think Prometheus is lower? I'm going to argue it's its lowest point, Covenant.
I honestly can't decide.
Yeah? Well, is it a continually low point for Prometheus for you?
I think Prometheus and Covenant are kind of two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, and that is part two.
Covenant is the one where they were like, but people wanted Alien.
Yeah.
So they were kind of listening to the people, but at the same time, they had to conclude Prometheus and make them fans happy as well.
And they just upset everybody.
So they couldn't do anything with Covenant, really, without upsetting everyone, which Prometheus also kind of did that, but Covenant did it more so because it wasn't the sequel to Prometheus.
There's trouble with the second album, really, isn't it? Yeah.
So I really don't know what they wanted to do.
Well, so after Covenant, definitely lowest point, or one of its lowest points. So then we've got this big break, and then we've got the film that just came out this year, then, haven't we?
Romulus.
Yeah. I'm assuming you don't want to say anything else about Covenant.
I have nothing to say about Covenant, honestly.
Yeah.
Music, by the way.
Oh, it's Jed Kurtz.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
And I think
There's a lot of aliens different.
I was just about to say, all he really did was copy Alien.
He did.
And when you look at a lot of his work, like, he worked on Monkey Man from this year, which was great.
That's good.
And he worked on our favourite movie of last year, The Pope's Exorcist.
Oh, the greatest movie of the century.
Yeah, he'd done a film the same year as Covenant, Jupiter's Moon.
Oh, right.
It's a Hungarian film, I think. I watched it at cinema when it came out, and it's really good.
Yeah.
I'm right, the music on that was really good. Cinematography on it was fantastic as well. I just wanted to mention Jed Kurtz.
No, he does a good job.
It's just a bit of a shame, though. A lot of it's just imitation, really.
And that's on a theme.
Yeah. So I can't really blame him. I think it's what the studio wanted.
Yeah.
They were like, people wanted an Alien movie. Do Alien.
Yeah.
You know, so I can't criticise him, but
I was happy.
we'll move on to Alien Romulus.
Right.
You want to break in and steal highly regulated equipment.
This could be our only ticket out of here.
Directed by Fede Alvarez. He's also the writer. Rodo Sayeg is also a writer. Anyway, we've got the cast of Kaylee Spaney as Rain, David Johnson, highlight of the film, as Andy,
Fantastic.
Archie Renox as Tyler, Isabella Merced as Kay, Spike Fern as Bjorn, Eileen Wu as Navarro. Pretty much it for the cast, isn't it? Oh, well, we do have, don't really want to say in home in because he's not really in there.
One of the big issues for me.
His likeness in there. And Daniel Betts is the facial and vocal performance star.
I know, they have used AI.
Yeah,
I'm waiting to find out the exact process. They're going to say eventually.
it'll be on the special feature, I'm sure.
I'm going to get it when it comes out for sure.
I'm sure you will. You're a huge Alien fan. The synopsis for this While scavenging the deep ends of a derelict space station, a group of young space colonists come face to face with the most terrifying life form in the universe.
Ian Holmes' reanimated corpse.
I was going to say something else.
Well,
The Wrath of Ridley Scott.
well, he is a producer on this, which might explain some things that happen later on.
Yeah.
Also, he recommended certain stuff got deleted, which I'm
Yeah.
really intrigued by.
Yeah, if I'm right, he said he met Fede and he apparently said something like, it's really good. What you've got to do is tighten it up and make it faster paced so you feel more tension. And I'm thinking, no, this ain't right.
It's exactly what he did wrong with his
Yeah.
director's cut.
Yeah. And I'm thinking he's the reason why the countdown gets shortened.
Oh,
I think there's supposed to be more time passed. And I think after a little conversation with Ridley Scott, who had no idea about tension, suddenly I think this time in which it takes for things to happen, I think was lessened and we lose all the tension. I'm
Right.
probably wrong, but if
find
that
out
story's
eventually.
true, I think that's what happened.
nowadays, they don't tend to put as many deleted scenes on things.
Yeah.
Or movies that we know have gone through like major reshoots.
Yeah.
We you never see the original stuff. I was really eager to see the stuff that was deleted from Rogue One.
Yeah.
And that just will not see the light of day.
Yeah, I'm really curious about stuff from Dark Phoenix,
Oh, yes.
but they're like nothing.
Yeah.
You can't find anything because no one really liked that film, and I thought it was okay.
Because this did have reshoots.
Yeah, I'm betting Ridley Scott was something to do with them.
Overall, what's your impression of it?
I like it to a certain point,
Yes.
and it's when it hits that final act. In fact, it's probably just before the fact. It is the very sort of end,
Yeah.
like confrontation.
Yes.
That is where it completely loses me, because I think you could have done anything else before that,
Yeah.
and got it to the end point and left it there. I'm not even a fan of sequel bait, but I would have been fine with it leaving things unknown, and then when you do a sequel, it's like, right, I realise what happened in this one now, because it left enough information. But instead, it just kind of did all its sequel bait at the end of the film.
In its defense, Alien as a franchise does have a thing for, and then again, the Chrysler.
Yeah.
It's just the default ending, Aliens, obviously
Alien
not Alien
3.
3.
Oh, right.
Oh, no. It does end with the cryopods, doesn't it? With Ripley's message. So even that manages to do it. Resurrection, one version ends on the spaceship at least.
Yeah. The thing for me, I always thought like Alien 1 to 3, that's your trilogy of
Yes.
Resurrection. It's in the name. I think that was going to be like a new little franchise and no one liked it, so they were like, let end that there. And then you end up with Prometheus, and that couldn't even finish its trilogy unless they come back like 10 years' time or whatever.
I hope they've learned.
Maybe Ridley Scott puts himself in cryo sleep with Michael Fassbender. And they come out and do a
Perfect.
They do a sequel many years from now, which I'll never get to see.
Ridley Scott goes off to chart the stars to find the engineer so he can live forever. Yeah. There's no director that polarizes me so much. I either love his work or I'm so disappointed in him.
We'll stick with Romulus.
Absolutely, forgive me. Yes.
One of my other big problems with it is it introduces the characters and you feel like you're going to get to know them. Then it just kicks off into the aliens on this.
Yeah.
And then everyone starts dying and it's frantic panic to just get to the next person's death. I don't really know these people.
Without looking, how many of them can you name right now?
I read their names, so I can probably name them all.
Oh, really? Oh, damn. I bet you've forgotten one.
I bet I have, because I can't remember his name. But I know there was Rain, Andy, Kay, Navarro,
Yeah.
Bjorn,
Yeah.
and it's the other guy I can't remember.
Yeah. Who is the lead guy?
Yeah,
And he's the one I was struggling to remember as well, Tyler.
Tyler.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Honestly, great performance.
They all put in great
Oh,
performance. Shame you don't really... Right.
Yeah.
There seems to be a difference, because you've got aliens,
Yes.
and you get introduced to their characters. We're with them for about an hour, though, aren't we, before anything really kicks off?
Yeah, I think it's like an hour and a half. Well, it depends on the cut, but I think it's about an hour and a half before the aliens even show up.
Yeah, and Aliens is known as being the action one in the franchise, and it takes a lot to get there, but you're introduced to all these characters and they're all well put together. From the moment they have dialogue or just interactions with each other, you know them instantly. These, it's just Rain is your protagonist,
Yeah.
Andy is the android, Tyler is just the leading guy, Kay is just pregnant girl, and Bjorn is just anti-robot. And then Navarro, she's just...
Flies the ship.
Yeah.
pretty much.
The hell Harry did to her.
No.
I think it was only on a second watch when I realised she was in a relationship with Bjorn.
But so's Kay.
Kay's their cousin.
I think Fede has recently said that Bjorn is the father to Kay's child.
Aren't they cousins?
It might be.
Yeah.
That's only what I've read from Fede.
Won't surprise me knowing his other films.
But yeah, I think when the movie started, and I love that retrieval craft, it almost looks like the underside of the Nostromo.
Yeah, we're back to the retro future.
Yes, love that. So retrofuturism is absolutely what I love.
It looked great.
Yeah, it's even Mother 9001.
Yeah, I generally love the opening.
Yes, although suddenly we're back in the wreckage of the Nostromo. Now, were you to suddenly say, I'm going to write a sequel to Alien, that's like one of the default things you could have done.
Yeah.
It's a strange decision. Also, it's really on the nose just to have the one piece of wreckage of Nostromo printed on it. Just saying. And then this comet gets gathered up. Now, was it the exhausts of the Narcissus blasting it? Did that like encase it? Or is it like a protective shell?
I don't know.
No idea. But the very fact that it is the alien from the original movie. Like, not just, it is the alien.
Yeah.
The big chap, as he's doing.
Yeah.
Which, on some level, I'm quite happy about. On another level, it's just like, yeah, Ripley failed. She didn't get rid of the foe. But then again, you could also argue that, yeah, you can't kill this thing. It will always keep coming back.
Yeah.
Although, later on, that's proven to be the case. So we're introduced indirectly to Renaissance Space Station, which has got the Romulus and the Remus side. We don't know that at the time. We just know that that's where, the comet with the alien side has been taken to. You see a mysterious figure in the distance who will become important later on.
Yeah. But
But then we're into what I really love is the Jackson Star, which is Rain living her life with Andy, which stands for ND, is it 257, I think? So he's, an artificial person, synthetic. He just does a really nice job of just building up this world where she's completed her quota of all of her hours, and then Weyland-Yutani just double the quota.
Yeah.
And not just that, you're also going in the mines where your parents died.
Yeah.
You've got the workers with the canaries, which is just like, so Weyland-Yutani aren't even giving them detectors
no.
to protect them from poisonous gas. They don't care. They're a disposable resource. And that's why I kind of like the idea that it is focused on the young people, because the adults are dead.
Yeah.
They're the ones that have gone out there. These kids probably have no ties back to home because it takes 9 years to get to Hivargo, which is where they're trying to escape to.
Yeah.
So these homeless kids, they have, the ship, the Corbellin, which is another Joseph Conrad reference, which Nostromo is a character from Nostromo. You've got Sulaco, which is the town from Joseph Conrad stories, which I really like. So we've got that reference to the original. That's lovely. But then you notice there are loads of references in this movie. Like, it can't do enough. Like, even down to playing a video game, which has facehuggers on the video game.
Yeah.
And then when he dies, it says game over, man.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Yep.
Part of me is kind of intrigued by the facehugger stuff because it's just like, do the company know about facehuggers and they're like subconsciously trying to get kids to know?
I put them on bug hunts. Was Hudson a big fan of that game and suddenly he realised what he was in for? Was he referencing that game? Was he playing that in his youth?
You get all of these, it's kind of subtle to start with. Like when the laser opens the comet for the alien at the start, it is the jump scare with the jazz hands from the original movie.
Yeah.
And a lot of sound effects come back. There's one of the sound effects is actually the sound of the DB5 in Goldfinger, the tracking system. And that sound effect is in Alien as well. So that's quite nice to see those coming back. So I like that sort of subtle referencing.
Yeah.
It becomes less subtle as we go along. Also, we saw this in 40X, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I honestly think that the takeoff of the Corbellin from Jackson Star through the atmosphere might have been one of the best experiences I've had in the cinema. And I think we've had the inverse. So we had the Nostromo landing on LV-426 or Acheron, whichever you want to call it. Whereas this time, we're taking off. So you've just got that opposite. And I think they even use similar sound effects. You've got like the sound of a shield going in Alien comes back in this. There's so many references. It's crazy. When they get to Renaissance Station, you've got the same ventilation shaft openings with the same sound effects as it just sort of opens up like a camera shutter. But they've even got not a film reference, but a video game reference. They've got the generators, which are in Alien Isolation.
Right.
And this film loves Alien Isolation.
Yeah.
There are loads of references.
Alien Isolation was the reason that he wanted to do this film.
Yeah.
He was a huge fan of that game. He played it a lot and just wanted to reference it and make a movie like that.
There's a lot. You've not finished the game, have you?
No, well, you were playing it for me.
Because towards the end, like we're talking beats that would spoil the game. The reviews essentially spoiled a lot of the game.
There's a lot wrong and a lot right with this one.
Yeah.
You can defend it and be against it either way. I don't really care. I've seen people say why they like it and why they don't like it, and I just think, well, yeah, I'm the same. I like half of it. I don't like the latter half of it.
This first half, though, there's still bits and pieces that annoy you, because there are me, for sure.
In the first half, it's mainly build some more tension. I want to know these people a bit more, but what you get of them, I don't feel you can offer any much more.
They're pretty shallow characters.
Yeah.
Even Rain.
Yeah,
Sadly.
she said something like, in my performance, I wanted to put in and make her feel like a three-dimensional character. And all I was thinking, I'm sorry, Kaylee Spaney,
She's
but
great.
you could act all you want in this, and you did a phenomenal job. Unfortunately, the script doesn't offer your character a three-dimensional viewpoint, and it's a shame. When the android actually has the most throughout the whole film, he's the one character that I think is the highlight.
He's fantastic. I mean, it's two separate characters, essentially, he's playing, isn't it, really?
I feel like there's three versions of him.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, okay, three. Towards the end, when he's got his motor functions back,
And
but
that-
he is his old.
And that's why you come into the three acts of the movie.
Yes.
He is the three acts.
Yeah.
Each one you can pinpoint where each act is coming from because it's just Andy.
I'd seen David Johnson and Agatha Christie adaptation beforehand, and he was fantastic in that. He absolutely steals the show in this.
Yeah.
I know some people were a bit offended because they thought it was coding for autism to start with, but I think I already knew he was going to be an android going in. I tried to avoid spoilers as much as possible. One of the teasers even gave it away, I think. But he is a significant part of the film, isn't he?
Teaser, I think, gave away some deaths.
The poster of Navarro with a facehugger on her face.
Yeah.
There was one bold character. Who is it? How would it be? David Johnson absolutely steals it, especially when he starts going, he goes from barely functional. I don't know if it's a me thing. Robots in movies, when they're trying to be emotional, ironically, they're more emotional than the humans they're surrounded by, and there's like an innocence to it. He's got the one directive, I must do whatever's best for Ray. He accepts that he's going to be thrown on a scrap heap and switched off. I just think it's really sweet. And you could kind of turn around and say, no, it's just software.
Yeah.
But it does feel more than that. And especially when Ray reciprocates and goes back from towards the end.
Yeah, I think them two are the strongest element of the film.
Brilliant.
Because I think he really works mainly due to her as well.
Oh, well, that's true. Yeah.
Her performance really built his performance.
Yes.
They work off each other very well, but at the end of it, he's the one that steals the film.
Without him, it's a less interesting film. And Kelly Spaney's a great actress. She really is.
Yeah.
She was great in Priscilla. She was great in Civil War.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people complaining about the English accents again. Honestly, that didn't bother us, I'm assuming.
I didn't know it.
People mocking the way we say water. First alien movie without eggs.
Yeah.
Odd.
The amount of facehuggers, for sure.
There's a disconnect in there for me. So without going into a blow by blow of the entire movie, we get to a point where all these facehuggers get released in a cryogenic room because they're after cryogenics. So they've got these cryopods so they can get to Ivaga, which is a 9-year flight otherwise. And you've got facehuggers en masse. Suddenly these things are a threat. As we progress through the movie, though, I suppose my immediate question was, how did we get to a point where there's a hive at the base of the station?
Yeah.
Not only is there a hive, but the whole idea of cocooning people to the walls is so that the facehuggers can get them.
Yeah.
The facehuggers are all frozen.
Yeah.
Is there something on the ship that's laying eggs? We don't see eggs.
No.
And yet, all the people are sealed on the walls with their chests burst.
Yeah.
Did a convenient number of facehuggers just get out? It's the sort of thing where there is probably a legitimate explanation, but it's not presented in the film.
I honestly think there was supposed to be a queen.
Yeah.
Because I don't see any other explanation for any of it.
Are you ever going to finish Alien Isolation?
Right. I'm going to ask you this. Are you going to finish Alien Isolation?
Yeah. All right. Do you want me to say something or not?
No.
Okay, I won't then. Because there are similar questions which are similarly not answered, but Alien Isolation does it right, in my opinion.
Yeah. It kind of bugged me that the Alien Isolation out there, and it probably does a better Alien film, more in line with what fans want, because I know a lot of fans that played the game said this is what we want as a movie. And we can't get that as a movie.
I read the novel adaptation and it was terrible in comparison to the game. I think if they tried to do it as a film, it would be a disaster.
Maybe, but generally just think that there could be a good Alien movie out there.
Yeah. And Romulus is pretty close, to be fair.
And it's not bad.
No, I mean, pretty close to an adaptation of
Right, an adaptation.
Yeah.
Right. But I just think that there's a good Alien movie you can do out there. And we're not getting it. I don't know what movie producers think they want from an alien.
For a lot of this film, I think Fede was sort of knocking on the door. He was close.
He was going close, but I think if that was the conversation he had with Ridley Scott, I think that was a downfall of his movie. I think Ridley Scott is another downfall of this movie due to
What comes at the end?
his movies that he made.
Yeah. Before we get to that, though, Ian Holm. Now, we've already mentioned Alien 3, the Bishop, the
Puppet.
practical puppet,
Yeah.
which still holds up today.
Yeah.
And I know they did a practical puppet of Ian Holm because you can see it in silhouette. Ian Holm's back, despite being dead. I have a problem with this.
Yeah.
You know, he's an incredible actor. There was no reason to bring him back. You could just have another android. It's completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's called Rook. It's not Ash. It's a different android, same model, Hyperdyne Systems 128.2, according to Cameron. And yet, he's also quoting the original movie.
Yeah.
And there's been talk, I don't know if Fede's the one who said it, that they are connected to some sort of network.
Yeah.
Which also explains why Rook knows Ripley shot it out the airlock.
Yeah.
Which also suggests that when Gitani just leaving Ripley just floating in space.
Yeah, I think they reference the connection through Andy in
Yes.
this one because he goes on about how he can hear Rook's voice in his head.
Yes.
And go on about
Yeah,
him
that's
calling to him and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think there is supposed to be like, yeah,
Okay.
I think there is supposed to be like a link between androids.
Yeah. So the digital wizardry they used to bring him back, deep faking, on top of a puppet, presumably, can look ropey at times. To be honest, on a second watch, I think it looked better the first time we saw it.
Oddly, I think I'm the other way around.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I think the thing for me was, though, I was actually looking for what they were doing.
I suppose you've also got a bit of a get out of jail free card by saying that he's damaged, he's not perfect, so maybe his mouth isn't going to move in sync.
Maybe.
But you get the uncanny valley effect.
Yeah.
It is an android anyway, so
Yeah.
maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah.
They got permission from Ian Holmes' estate.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
They get paid. Right?
yeah, I can't shake the feeling that it's in poor taste. You're literally reanimating a corpse.
Yeah, I know what you
Fan
mean.
service.
I know what you mean. I agree with you. I think they could have used any other android and it would have been,
Lance Henriksen.
yeah, bring back old Lance. I think it'd been pretty good to use Lance Henriksen, to be fair. But I think use another android, another actor altogether.
Yeah. Anyway, they did what they did, but they didn't just bring back Ian Holm. They brought back the big chap, who is now officially designated XX121, I believe, which was from the Aliens role-playing game. Definitely had it. That's the official designation for the Xenomorph. It's been mentioned in something else as well.
Right.
That was a nice little reference, and I hate it. I hate that he's back. I hate that he's back and then killed off screen. And then just left suspended. The fact that he's still got the harpoon from Ripley stuck in his chest when he bleeds acid.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, but let's just make everything from that harpoon material for us.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, look, we get it. It's the same alien. And just to kill it off screen, you jump through all these hoops to bring him back, only to just off him off screen. I just think it's madness. And there's some comics on the way that apparently are going to go into what really happened on board Renaissance. We have had that movie.
No.
So basically, all of the aliens in this, because we're that scared of going to a new planet and finding eggs there.
Yeah.
We're still stuck on LV-426. We can't escape that, apparently.
No.
So instead of going the egg route, the reason there are no eggs are they're all clones.
Yeah.
All of the aliens are clones of the original alien, and yet somehow they've managed to extrapolate that back into facehuggers.
Yeah.
And not just one facehugger, loads of facehuggers.
Oh, yeah.
I could have done with more explanation, I think.
I generally just think they could have gone to another planet,
Yeah.
possibly even gone to the same planet, got a few eggs,
Yeah.
and then alien shenanigans.
My favourite kind of shenanigans.
I know.
I know the part of the film you're not going to be happy with is Prometheus fire.
Oh, yeah.
So we end up navigating their way from one side of the ship station to the other.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff with facehuggers.
Yeah.
Although, did maybe take the horror out when you say that they only see by heat. So if you're at the same heat, the room's the same temperature as you and you're quiet, they can't see you,
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of diminishes them a bit.
Yeah, they needed a weakness so they could get by, I think. I don't know.
Also, I've got a thing for puppets on boxes.
Really?
I have. I'm back to Doctor Who. There was an old Doctor Who episode called Planet of the Spiders where they move the puppets through the furniture.
Yeah.
As soon as I see the facehuggers sat on boxes, I'm thinking, well, that's just creating a puppet. That might just be a me problem. Whereas I never got that with the other movies. And obviously the facehuggers eventually became CGI, but the first one, and Aliens, the way the facehuggers move in there, that was incredible.
That's something for me as well. In Aliens, they have such a problem with just little facehuggers, like even Marines.
Yeah.
In this, there are loads of them, and they bat them about.
Oh, a
God,
lot. Yeah.
Sorry, but I watch Aliens and I watch a Marine struggle. They seem pretty strong for such a small creature.
He's just got his stun rod and he's batting him about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although that stun rod, I do like, well, the alien design is very similar to the original, which is great. And they use a lot of practical puppets as well, full-size animatronic. There is a man in the suit for some, but not all. And
Yeah.
annoyingly, I saw the behind the scenes, so I can now spot the animatronic in the film. So we're introduced to a brand new stage of the alien life cycle. What do you think about that? Oh, you like that?
Alien life cycle. Pretty quick in this, isn't it?
Oh, no. Oh, sorry. No, if we're talking about the speed of the life cycle, very quick.
Hang on, what are we on about?
I'm on about the chrysalis on the wall.
Oh, yeah, that's
Not a fan.
not really.
I quite like that.
Yeah.
I think that's straight out of HRG.
Yeah, it kind of looks that way. But
It looks that way for sure.
at the same time, it just looks like an egg on a wall. I could have done without it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much what the alien goes off and does in the first Alien.
Yeah,
You don't see
Just
it.
don't say.
So I don't really feel the need to have seen it.
I thought it was interesting. I
And
thought-
where it was placed as well, I
Just
just
a bit exposed.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
maybe.
why would you do it there?
I mean, Beyond's fate.
Wonderful.
I mean, I love the acid burns. That's great. On the face of it, it's kind of a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, this thing is potentially vulnerable on the wall, not as vulnerable as he thinks it is. And I mean, it's pretty explicit sexual imagery, let's be honest.
Oh, yeah.
But to try and zap this thing ultimately just goes the wrong way anyway. But that's just straight out of H.R. Giger. You know, a bit Species as well, which he also designed.
Yeah. People
Um,
criticised it for being too alien.
To be honest, if this movie had ended with more of a Species thing than what we ended up with, I think I'd have been happier.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we get our cast whittled down one by one, and then Prometheus fire shows up.
Yeah.
You are definitely not a fan of this, are you?
No. This is where the movie kind of starts falling apart.
Yeah.
Because this is where it ties everything together.
Yeah.
Kind of good, kind of bad. Depends how much you like them prequels.
I was probably a bit more forgiving.
It's just how they use it in the story as well.
Well, that becomes a problem later on for me, for sure.
Yeah. I
But
don't think it worked.
At all.
No, it don't work right for me. And it's just so weird.
When it first happens, and you even get a sting of Prometheus music when it's mentioned about Wayne
Yeah.
in this Prometheus mission, which I quite like that. As soon as they say that the black goo is back,
Oh, yeah.
maybe the alarm bell started to ring, and then they show this rat getting crushed, and then they inject it with this substance, and it sort of reforms. I just immediately went, oh, I really hope we're not doing that. But then it sort of redeemed itself almost immediately when they left with all these vials, and then it shows the footage continuing, and then the rat mutates, and you see the actual sort of mutated
Yeah.
monster that's broken out of the original class. I'm thinking, oh, phew, so they've not taken this thing at all.
No.
They've just got it in their head that they have,
Yeah.
or it's just in progress. So I kind of like that. You know, it worried me and then sort of fixed itself, so I was quite happy. What I don't like is later on, so Kay, having seen Navarro get chest bursted,
Yeah.
and I've watched this film with you twice now, and you laughed out loud both times that Kay fell out of that door. Bounced off that pipe.
It is funny.
I quite like the bit when the alien is sort of stalking her, but not attacking because it wants her to get the door open first.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
And then it finally goes, nah, grabs her and takes her.
Yeah, it realises that they're not going to open that door, so...
Yeah. They end up getting into the hive, rescuing Kay. Tyler, bless him, whose name we both struggle to remember at some
Now
stage,
we know it.
has a wonderfully heroic moment where not only does he throw himself in the way to save Rain and gets impaled by a tail in the process, then gets dragged up into the ceiling where multiple aliens are coming for him,
Yeah.
and doesn't pull the trigger on his gun because he knows if he does, it's going to burn a hole in the ship.
Yep.
And then, like a gent, he takes a tongue to the face.
We've all done it.
Bless him. What a nice guy. With half a head. Also forgot to mention, in the face of a bit, you see Fede Alvarez hanging with the back of his head missing. There's a replica of him,
Yeah.
his corpse hanging from the ceiling. You get a nice little jump scare, so that's quite fun. I'm intrigued to know who all of the bodies are in the hive. I'm assuming they're all crew members.
I'm going to say,
bodies.
when you hate crew members, do you mean of the ship or the... Or
the film.
Yeah.
But you get all these interesting ideas. There's the alien, the NECA toy. It's called Scorched. That seems to be the name that people have adopted for it. The one that's got a hole in its head.
Right.
So you can see the electricity,
Yeah.
which is interesting. I'm on the fence.
Bit odd.
Bit odd, maybe. But it's interesting that it rescues her. And you're thinking, what's going on here? And then it's purely because there's a facehugger around the corner.
Yeah.
And it's to get her impregnated. So that's just
Yeah.
interesting.
I really like the idea of a heroic alien, and I thought he was going to be the saviour of the movie.
Completely overlooked the pulse rifle as well, which is back. You've got thoughts about the L44AA.
With the auto assist aim,
Yeah.
bit advanced. Like, it's almost smart gun. It's like smart guns are like quite a few years away from aliens. Did they not give the Marines this option? Were they really happy with the smart gun, the big bulky?
In my mind, it's like Weyland-Yutani just got all of their best tech for themselves. So you've got it's a 450 round magazine,
Yeah.
but it's also the amount of damage it's doing to the alien in an amazing zero gravity scene, which is the first time we've had zero gravity in an alien franchise, and it looks great.
I quite liked it.
But it takes a lot of bullets just to kill
Yeah.
an alien. So I like that. Whereas the pulse rifle in Aliens gets the job done fairly properly.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was quite fun. They're doing a replica at the moment, which is very interesting, but I'm behaving myself.
You're not getting it.
No, it looks nice though. But then ultimately we get to the part where Kay, who's been given the Prometheus fire to return to the ship, to freeze herself And Rain doesn't even say we're going to Ivaga. They're going back to the colony for medical attention, which is quite sweet.
Yeah.
They're sacrificing their dream potentially just to save her friend. So that's a nice little character moment. It's not massively made like hypertext, but she decides that she's going, a pregnant woman, Kay, is going to inject a vial of completely unknown fluid. And she wasn't there for when he was explained about what the hell this stuff is.
No.
All she knows is that at one point Tyler was about to inject her. And Rain stopped him.
Yeah.
And she was mostly comatose at that point.
Yeah.
Anyway. I'm sorry. It's a stretch.
I think she was supposed to do it a bit later because she has a conversation with Rook on the ship.
You see, that would be the perfect time to do it.
And I think he should have been able to convince her that
this will save your life.
Yeah.
That would make sense. Yeah. Well, then arguably then, why are you going to trust a weird half robot?
Yeah, because you don't trust him anyway when he gives her some information.
So yeah, it would make a little bit more sense if someone tried to convince her. You know, all he has to say is, you're about to die and your child is about to die, give it a go.
Yeah.
But instead
It's a black goo.
Yeah. And that then leads us to when I left the film the first time, I tried jotting my thoughts down in a small review, which then spiraled into a massive thing, and I stopped myself in the end because I just couldn't stop writing. And my first words were, it's a shame that my overriding emotion after seeing this film is disappointment. And it's mostly because of the ending. And I know you're more disappointed than me.
I really do not like the look of that thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we went back to see it a second time.
Yeah.
I wanted to see it a second time because after seeing the film, I saw a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff of Robert Bobrovsky, who is the creature.
Yeah.
Was he a basketball player?
I think so. I'd hate to play basketball against him.
What's the point? The guy's that tall. And I know Kaylee Spiney's, relatively short, but jeez. As a practical effect, it's impressive.
Yeah. I've already had problems with hybrids in this series.
I didn't like the newborn in Resurrection, and I prefer that to this.
Yeah.
And it's divided people. A lot of people have been saying that they find it really creepy, and people have been like vocally reacting in cinemas to this thing.
Yeah.
And other people have been really disappointed by it. A lot of the thing seems to be the smile that it gives, that it's enjoying.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very human.
There's a thing with Romulus and Remus. Earlier in the movie, there's all these paintings on the wall. It's called Renaissance Station. You've got the two sides. Then one of the paintings is, it's a baby suckling from its mother, and you get that at the end. It is just like blatant foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Like she starts either turning into some sort of liquid, or she's exuding this liquid, and then the offspring, is I think we're supposed to call it now, it devours her until she's just a head.
Yeah.
It's more Prometheus than Giga, I think.
Right.
It's designed to look like the engineers.
Yeah. This is what I mean. It all tries to tie back together in this one movie.
Yeah. I hate this as a ring. I wish I could say I didn't.
This is trying to be like Prometheus 3 and Alien sequel.
Yeah, Alien Resurrection plus Prometheus, and it's trying to do everything. And all it had to have was an elongated head to look like a xenomorph of some sort. We've had neomorphs and they were fine.
Yeah.
This thing, it kind of reminds me, we got into this thing with it became a thing where you had the monstrous mother in movies. So you had the end of Barbarian with the creature.
Yeah.
The creature at the end of Smile. All of these things, was it Tristana Medeiros from Wreck?
Yeah.
And then Quarantine, and those, the creature up in the attic at the end.
Yeah.
And it's very much along that line. And it just doesn't feel alien to me.
No.
You can give it a tail, you can give it a second set of jaws. No, I wasn't happy.
No.
I enjoyed it a bit more in a second watch, mostly because I was prepared for it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed everything that came before that bit a lot.
Yeah.
And as soon as that bit comes,
that is the main bit for me where it plummets off.
Yeah. For a film that was lifting a lot, when it comes to originality, it's not the most original film I've ever seen.
No. It offers some new stuff, but it's just kind of repackaged old stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not really, it's just an odd film.
Yeah. I mean, you've got the get away from her, you bitch line. And I missed it the first time. Bjorn does call Andy a bitch earlier in the film, so I can kind of forgive that slightly. But you've got Rook, he's just blatantly saying Ash's lines from Alien. The perfect organism, I can't lie to you about your chances, but you have my sympathies. And it's just like, no, look, there's a line. You can do this in a better way.
Yeah.
Like with Rogue One when they brought back Peter Cushing's time.
Yeah.
It's almost like when a studio does this and brings back a character who can't be there anymore, be they deceased in these instances, then they have this weird obsession with, look, we need to show them quite a bit. And it's just like, no, if you show them in darkness or briefly, it will work.
Yeah.
You know who it's supposed to be. To sit with a well-lit face.
Yeah.
So that didn't work. The ending didn't work. The big chap didn't work for me.
No.
They're the big three. Still a lot good in there.
Not the worst Alien movie, but it's still in the bottom half.
Oh, for sure. Which is sad.
I still think the first 4 are the better ones for me.
Yeah. They follow the rules that have been set.
They offered something new.
Yeah.
Each of them. They tried to do different, and then all the ones, well, Prometheus tried to do new, but that wasn't Alien at all.
Yeah, apart from the last 5 minutes.
Prometheus is just its own thing.
Yeah, which is fine.
Covenant is just identity crisis.
Mm.
It doesn't know what it wants to be. It's got a studio telling it has to be one thing, and Ridley Scott just loves Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, Michael Fassbender loves getting paid.
Then you're going to say the flute.
That too. I mean, as a franchise, still pretty solid, but that's mostly because the first 3 movies are so fantastic.
Yeah.
And even though the third one gets a lot of hate, I mean, the third one's still a 9 out of 10 movie for me.
Yeah, nice.
Genuinely.
Wow.
I really enjoy it.
Thought I enjoyed it more than you.
No?
I don't think I can enjoy an Alien movie more than you.
Sorry.
Even when it's the worst, I don't think I can enjoy it more than you.
It's still a pretty strong franchise, though. But we're going to talk about AVP quick.
7 days ago, one of my satellites over Antarctica discovered a pyramid.
We'll run through it briefly.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much to say about AVP.
Fan fiction films.
AVP are the ones where it's pure comic book. For those fans of them comic books, and even them, they weren't satisfied. Fans of Aliens, fans of Predator, just a bit of fun for them. I don't think it offers anything for any franchise either. It's just to see them fight.
Yeah.
And it delivers.
Yeah.
Even AVP Requiem delivers that.
Yeah.
Gives you the Pred Alien. Great. They've both got great stuff in them.
It's a shame you can't see it that well. That's the only problem with Requiem, really.
Yeah.
It's a bit basic plot-wise. I prefer AVP as a film.
Yeah.
The miniature work's incredible. On a rewatch, it really holds up.
Yeah.
It's the set design. And if you're going to make a contemporary movie, I mean, they could have gone the Requiem route, but they went an interesting route, I thought.
Yeah.
Then you get some nice references. You got one of the characters is called Mark Verheiden, and he's famously one of the comic book writers for Dark Horse who wrote extensively for Alien and Predator. So that's a nice little reference.
Yeah, that's good.
Although, if you think about Alien, you've got a pretty indestructible xenomorph all the way through. Admittedly, there's not anything fighting it effectively. The Marines are knocking down quite a lot of aliens in the sequel.
Yeah.
And yeah, AVP goes almost the route of the original movie. And one alien, kills 2 of the 3, the 3 main predators.
Yeah.
In a very short space of time.
Yep.
They're actually can be a bit of a threat. It's just a surprise they went that way, rather than just use them as cannon fodder, which they could have done.
Yeah.
Because that grid alien, he's great.
Yeah.
One of the best aliens of the entire franchise, probably, for about the stuff he gets done.
I remember the AVP game. You could play that one.
Oh, good.
The 2010 one.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
that's
could play
it.
that. Yeah, you could play that alien. That was always that alien.
Yeah.
And when it came to the Predator, I think I was the AVP movie one as well. But I think they're fun films. I think the first one offers a bit more. I like the temple setting. It's Paul W. Anderson who directs it, but I think it has a lot more money thrown at it.
Yes.
You've got Lance Henriksen back as Bishop Wayland. Wayland Bishop.
Charles Bishop.
Charles Bishop Wayland.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, a nice little callback.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything to offend me.
It's just a cool thing to reference Alien.
Yeah.
And he's a great actor.
Yeah. But the film, it's a fun premise. It's maybe a little bloodless.
Yeah.
Doesn't spoil it though.
No, I think it was just made, like I said, just to offer a good fight between these sci-fi things.
Yeah.
You get crossovers in comic books like that a lot. They had Freddy versus Jason
Just about to
the
say.
year before, so why not try and do the sci-fi equivalent, right?
Yeah.
Bring out the big bad aliens that everyone loves. And it's enjoyment. It's not like...
Doesn't have to be art all the time.
No.
Like Alien, I think, is a very
definitely.
artistic film.
Even Aliens is art as well. Alien Resurrection was the first popcorn flick in the Alien franchise. So to me, AVP
follows that trend.
Yeah, AVP is like Alien Resurrection, Predator, boom.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they use the same logs, but they took the design cue for the aliens in AVP from Resurrection. One criticism I have seen is that they look very dry. Resurrection is the complete opposite. Those things were slammed up completely.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if that's your biggest, I don't really have much of a criticism of the effects work.
No.
The miniatures are gorgeous. The CG, when it is used, I think holds up for the most part.
I remember, yeah. And the Alien Queen, great.
Incredible. Yeah.
That's a great bit.
Yeah. Fun little teaser for next movie as well at the end.
Yeah.
Even though the Queen impaling the stomach, I suppose the stomach and not chest, maybe gets a pass.
It's fine.
I mean, even down to the detail of the new Predator spaceships have got the original Predator ship from the first film suspended underneath. I just like that. Because the design of the ship is obviously much different to what we've seen before. But there's a lot of nice little callbacks.
Yeah.
That all came from Predator 2. Thank you for sticking a xenomorph skull on the wall.
But that came from the comic books.
Did the comic book come first?
If I'm right, they had a comic book crossover already. And Predator 2, while they were doing it, they were like, let's
do it.
Throw that in to pay homage to the comic book that they've done. So I like that.
Of course, it is an exoskeleton, so it shouldn't be. But anyway, no, that's right.
Yeah, do get AVPR. That delivers the Pred Alien, like I said. I love the Pred Alien.
The Winston Wolfe of Predators as well.
Wolf is a great predator.
It's great, especially in the is it the unrated cut? I think they're called, when it's there's a guy with a magnum in the graveyard. I've not been able to spot him. Apparently, one of the headstones is Jim Hopper from the first Predator film. Oh, I shouldn't talk Predator anyway.
Maybe later.
Yeah,
We'll revisit these with Predator, maybe.
yeah. They are more cannon foddery, the aliens in Requiem, aren't they?
Yeah.
Also, Aliens versus Predator Requiem.
Yeah.
Alien versus Predator.
Yep. I wanted Alien 3 versus Predator.
And the design changes as well. So you get the domed ones in AVP, and they're the warriors from Aliens in the sequel.
Yeah.
But some particularly nasty stuff in there for a film that is famously hard to see, especially the pregnant women
Oh, yeah.
giving birth to multiple chest bursters that are presumably eating fetuses. So that's
Yep.
lovely.
Very dark. I love it.
I think that's the darkest the franchise got.
Yeah.
And to say that Requiem is a bit of a fun, schlocky
Yeah.
popcorn flick, that's a very dark thing to
It's
say.
also the first one for me where it feels B-movie.
Because of Canada and the...
I think
it
so.
feels American TV show, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's the first one where it's just done popcorn flick AVP. This is B-movie AVP. And then you have to accept it. And I think since watching it in cinema, where it was the best lighted I'd had it.
The first 15 I ever saw in
Yeah.
cinema.
But yeah, after that, I've never really been able to see it, but I've always enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
I don't really have a bad time watching it. I'd put it on and I'd like, what a fun film that is.
Yeah.
From Resurrection to AVPR, they're the popcorn flicks.
Yep. And then he gets a grandiose concept.
Yeah.
And then Romulus.
I feel Romulus is kind of popcorn flick and not at the same time.
It sort of assumes the audience has a prior knowledge, doesn't it?
Well, that's the thing. I don't really feel it's a great in. I feel like you could have watched any of the first 4 Alien movies and gone like, I kind of know what this franchise is.
Yeah.
And you could have put any one of them 4 on.
Without knowing too much about what's come before. Because,
Yeah.
you know, woman arrives at facility, aliens here, oh dear.
Yeah.
Essentially, you're
Yeah.
fine. Woman left adrift in space, go and find what's going on. Oh god, there's aliens there. So you could just pop in. With this one, it's too referential.
Here's the black goo from Prometheus. Here's this. Here's that. Okay.
It makes me sad. This is going to be somebody's first alien movie. Also, how is it not an 18?
I don't know.
There are things in there that I'm amazed they let slide in
Yeah.
BDFC.
But my first Alien and even Predator movie, AVP.
So,
Uh,
not Predator. Predator, I
Predator, you'd already ran. But for me, I'm sure it was AVP, and I just remember thinking, what a fun film that is.
Yeah.
Can't wait to watch Alien and Predator then.
Yeah.
But I don't feel there was like the odd references to the previous things in it. I feel like they weren't on the nose. Even though there are references to them, they're not in your face. You don't have to know the backlog of the films. You can go watch that, have a fun time.
Yeah.
Romulus, it's like, what's this black goo?
I think you could sit someone down who've never seen an alien movie before. You could sit them down to watch Romulus, and they would be able to tell you what the referential lines were. Because the way they're in there, especially Get Away From Her, You Bitch, was very awkward.
Yeah.
And I still think David Johnson's the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
I don't think that's his fault at all.
Oh, no. Unless you hear that he ad-libbed it. Anyway, I think if Romulus is your first Alien movie, I think you would question things like the black goo. Where'd that come from? And then you'd have to watch Prometheus for it to be explained. And Prometheus is just a different kind of film.
In my mind, someone will watch Alien Romulus saying this black goo is interesting. I'll watch Prometheus, and in my mind, I think this is an interesting film. I like this. Whereas in your mind, it'll be this is the worst thing I've ever seen.
Well, I don't. For me, I don't understand how you could watch Romulus, think I enjoyed that. What do I have to watch before it? Watch Prometheus. It explains that black goo. Then they watch Prometheus. Completely different sort of movie.
Yeah.
Completely.
But that would also lead them on to Covenant, right?
Maybe.
Not Alien.
But someone that watches Romulus, I can't imagine them really enjoying Prometheus.
Yeah.
I know you do, but Alien is the base level for both them movies. Like,
Yeah.
it has elements of both them movies in it. But Prometheus and Romulus, kind of opposites. It's like Prometheus and Aliens. Aliens is my favourite.
Yeah.
Prometheus, complete opposite.
No, just no connection at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you would not know. I don't think there's anything really connecting there, is there?
I don't know. Aliens? Bit of an odd franchise anyway, at this point.
Interesting to see what they do with the next box set they do. Famously, the quadrilogy box set was quite,
A little bit. Brian Allen's that one.
I wonder what they'll do for the next one, though.
I thought you were going to say, I wonder what the next movie will be, and I honestly don't know.
But I mean, will they package it up with AVP? Probably not. They'd leave that out.
I think Predator movies at one point were packaged with AVP and Aliens, weren't?
That's interesting.
But I think it's because they had less Predator movies.
Yeah, so.
At the time, anyway.
I mean, the Predator was a disaster. I hope the next one's good. Well, Fredo's obviously talking with Dan Trachtenberg, who did Prey, about doing a new AVP movie, and that would be fascinating.
I'd love to see it, honestly. I think that would be the set in the future one.
Oh, to do Colonial Marines, like they do with the video games. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Right. Do you think there's anything else to cover?
Not really.
You just had a bad nightmare.
So I've been Matt from Sitting Through the Credits. My podcast covers a lot of film production details and just going behind the scenes, really, from films new and old. Currently on a bit of a hiatus, but my next one is Where It Goes There. And at some point, I'm definitely going to have to revisit Alien and do a crazy podcast and see how many hours I can go into it. So thanks for having me.
No problem.
Well, that's great. That's just great, man. Now what are we supposed to do?
So that's the end of the show. Thank you for joining us this week. And if you haven't, give us a like and a subscribe. A glowing review would also be appreciated. And we are cynic_critique on X and Instagram. Links to those and more can be found in our description below. Matt's details will also be in the description. And we'll be back to usual next week as my bro host, Brian, will be back. And we'll be going to hell and back to discuss the Hellboy movies. Thank you, and goodbye.
There are things that go bump in the night. And we are the ones who bump.